Bring me the Disco King.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Maxie.
Thank you. In the summer of 1977, I was living in the housing project in the Bronx, New York, where I grew up. And I was in James Monroe housing projects, and all around us were other housing projects surrounded us. And it just so happened that we lived in the building right in the center of the projects. We lived on the second floor in the front of the building, facing the center. And my mother's bedroom looked out right in the middle courtyard. And so from my mother's bedroom, she could see everything that went on in the projects. And anytime we were outside doing whatever, all my mother had to do was just stand in the window, and we knew to just go over and see what she wanted. She didn't have to call us. So on this particular day, and just so you know, this was 1977, this is where what is now known as hip-hop, this hip-hop was like a toddler at the time. And it was really only limited to the Bronx during that time. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even called hip-hop yet. And so this DJ, his name is Disco King Mario, and Mario was really popular, and he was major in hip-hop during that time, and everybody knew him. And Mario decided he was going to throw a block party right there in the courtyard outside my mother's window. So he came and he set up his equipment, and see what Mario would do is when he sets up his equipment, he would rig his set to a lamppost, and that's how he would get the power to run his equipment. But for some reason he couldn't do it this day, and my mother turns to me and my mother goes, "You know, I like that, Mario. Why don't you tell him to give me that plug and we'll just plug it on in here?" So I was like, "For real?" She was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Mario, my mother said you could plug, run that thing into her window and plug it in." So he's like, "Oh, great." And he gave me the plug. I threw it upstairs. My mother took it and plugged it in, and the party began. And Mario was also known for having like the best sound system in the area. So once his music started, you could hear it for miles around. So everybody from all the other projects gathered in this courtyard outside of my mother's bedroom window, and it was literally hundreds of people. And it was a party. And at a certain point, I just totally forgot that we had plugged it into my mother's bedroom, until at a certain point, as it started to get dark outside, I see my mother standing in the window. So I go over there, and I walk up, I go, "Huh, Ma?" And she goes, "You need to tell Mario he got 15 minutes. And she said that, and I looked out, and there was B-boys breaking and MCs doing their routines, and everything's going on. I said, "Ma, that's Mario. You can't do that. That's Disco King Mario." My mother said, "I don't give a fuck who it is. Tell him he got 15 minutes. Now, any other time, because this wasn't his first time playing there, any other time, My mother would just close the window and turn off the light and go to bed, but this time she had the control. And she knew it. So I'm like, Ma, come on. She's like, what? So I started making my way over through the crowd, and I get to the DJ area. You know, the people are behind the ropes. You know, there's this big guy named Desi standing behind the ropes, and I go, hey Desi, I need you to tell Mario that my mother said, you know, he got to unplug his set in 15 minutes. Desi was like, what? I was like, yeah. So he goes over, he tells Mario, hey Mario, the lady up in the window said you got to unplug his. Mario was like, get the fuck out of here. And my mother saw his reaction. And as soon as she saw that, you heard the music just go, boo. And I was standing right there in front of him. And he said, that bitch unplugged my set. And I was like, oh, he just called my mother a bitch. And then this dude Des was like, yeah, that bitch unplugged your set. And everybody was like, what bitch? And he pointed, and the whole crowd looked up at the window, and my mother standing there with the cord in her hand. And as soon as she had the attention of all 500 people, she threw it out the window. Slammed down the window, closed the blinds, and everybody's like, oh shit, that bitch just ended the party. And I was mad at Mario for calling her a bitch, but I couldn't be mad at all 8 or 9 or 10 people, so I just eased my way out of the crowd, and I didn't say anything else. And I took like a razzing from my friends and so on. But here's the thing, over the decades since then, every once in a while I run to somebody who say that they were there then or whatever, and I'll go, yeah, I was there then too. And they'd be like, yeah, you know, they kind of want to quiz you and see if you were there. And I was like, listen, man, you remember that party in Monroe Projects where Mario plugged his set into the woman's? They go, oh yeah, and the bitch unplugged the party? I go, yeah, that bitch. That was my mother. Thank you very much.